This is WordFest 6. Solutions everywhere.
Children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. When children are born to parents, they become wholly responsible for these precious gifts entrusted to them by God. Sadly, the story takes a flip side, when parents are ignorantly deceived by the leaders whom they, like their children, have also come to trust.
Just like children trust their parents to make decisions for them. So, the people, the citizens of a nation, trust their leaders to make decisions for them.
This vaccine is safe and effective, so get your children vaccinated to protect themselves, to protect others, and to stop the spread.
Get your children vaccinated.
Parents ought to make sure their children are vaccinated.
Fluoride is safe and effective, and it's one of the most inexpensive ways to really cut down on dental decay. Fluoride is safe and effective. Fluoride is safe and effective.
And you feel really betrayed when they make the wrong decisions knowingly.
One such way by which bad decisions are continually being made by leaders and governments of nations are in matters pertaining to child health care, for by their collusion and connivance with the pharmaceutical industry, millions of children around the world have helplessly taken a fall to the horrendously damaging consequences of the sinister work of these pharmaceutical industries, meted out on their diminutive existence. These evil occurrences perpetrated against innocent lives give rise to this all-important question: why do children get sick? A popular quote by Johnson & Johnson, a leading pharmaceutical company as seen on their website is, J&J is a take care of you your whole life company. From the day you're born, Johnson & Johnson never stops taking care of you. As seemingly sweet as this sounds, entrenched beneath this fine-sounding quote, is a hideous eugenicist agenda. So from the time a child is conceived, the eugenicist agenda moves into full swing. While this child is in the womb, the expectant mother is injected with the so-called anti-tetanus injection, which has proven to be an anti-fertility medication.
These things are on record. The damage that they caused in Africa and India. Sterilized women.
There was an explicit intent through a 3-decade-long program of research and development by the WHO to develop an anti-fertility vaccine. The motive? To reduce female fertility in the face of alleged overpopulation. The WHO's research and development program had identified a conjugate, a chemically bonded form of beta-HCG and tetanus vaccine as the most effective formulation. And for a 5-dose schedule at 6 monthly intervals as being necessary to prevent successful pregnancy. The resulting anti-fertility vaccine was successfully trialed in developing countries. According to the WHO, up to 63 countries may have been targeted.
So I was doing an observation on my rotations in Detroit, Michigan when I was training, and I saw that they gave some people the a vaccine for tetanus and some not as a protocol. And the ones that were on welfare did not get it, but the ones who private pay did, which didn't make sense. But I saw there's a huge difference in fertility, huge. The people who didn't get it were extremely fertile. The people who did had a lot of problems. I Googled it then, and sure enough, you can still find this if you Google it, that the World Health Organization and NIH have since 1972 been developing the tetanus vaccine as an abortion or sterilization vaccine. They've been putting the pregnancy hormone inside the tetanus vaccine in that vial. And so every time you get it, it's a cumulative response. Your body will then see, if you're a female, you'll see when you're getting pregnant, you have a higher and higher HCG level, right?
Yep.
Well, then your body will then learn to attack that. So it's going to attack an early pregnancy. So then you wouldn't even know you got pregnant in the first place. So they have absolutely used this in Latino countries, Africa, and India.
I was tested, and my anti-HCG
levels were way up.
What does this mean? When a woman has antibodies, an immune reaction to HCG produced in her own body.
My journey with the miscarriages was very difficult. The first one, I carried that pregnancy for about 3 weeks. I got pregnant again, and I must have carried that pregnancy for about 4 weeks. I got pregnant a third time, and this time I carried that pregnancy for 10 weeks. I knew there was a problem.
If you create antibodies against HCG, the minute the new baby forming in the woman's womb starts producing HCG, it is destroyed like it was bacteria or viruses, so that the signal is completely lost, and therefore the ovaries do not produce progesterone. So if you have high enough levels of anti-HCG antibodies, then the woman would actually just become sterile.
However, in the event that the child makes it to the world, the next item on the eugenicist agenda would be to turn that child into a property of the state. This is executed in a number of ways. At the birth of this child, the hospitals, in collusion with the pharmaceutical companies, load these defenseless children with several toxic vaccines under the guise of immunizations and inoculations. These mark the first of many ticking time bombs, which show up as illnesses programmed into these children, waiting to detonate as they grow up.
Those of you who have just had babies, you better be careful, because Satan is more vicious today than he ever was, because his time is short, and it's pushing them to get you vaccinated and get your babies vaccinated.
Giving your newborn to a hospital, it is a ghoulish, satanic system. Your baby is immediately ID'd as chattel, as property, as proof of its earning, of his or her earning power, filled with toxins, vaccines. You will be lucky if the toxins in the vaccine doesn't destroy your child, doesn't rob your child of their mental faculties, doesn't harm your child. It will harm your child like a time bomb, like a ticking time bomb. Oh, what are measles? What are chickenpox? Part of that is the ticking time bomb of toxins put into your child when you give your child to a hospital.
Here's a vaccination schedule that reveals a track record of the number of doses of vaccines children have received between 1962 to 2019. In 1962, children received 5 doses. In 1983, they received 24 doses. As of 2019, they received 72 doses.
We're giving 49 doses of 16 vaccines to children before the age of 6. If you went into the hospital and the doctor said, I'm going to give you 16 different medications on different schedules, you would look at that doctor as if they were crazy, because you understand that when you start mixing medications, you are creating this entirely uncharted world of reactions. You don't know how those things are going to react in combination.
As you know, vaccine protocols were dramatically increased. When I was a little boy, we only got 3 vaccines. But my children, 5 of my 6 children, got 22 vaccines. Beginning in 1989, that's the thimerosal generation. That's the vaccine generation. And it's the sickest generation in the history of this country.
I'm looking around. Some of you are my age. And if I'm mistaken, I apologize. But I'm in a generation where I got 7 shots. 26 years later, my daughter got 10. Her son got probably 60. My new grandson's expected to get 72, and I just watched you add more. I'm appalled.
Many just believe, they were made to believe, that they needed vaccines to protect themselves and their children.
We assume that if we vaccinate, we're getting protection. We assume that if we vaccinate, we're stopping spread of disease. Those are assumptions that have never been solidified in science.
Some even ask the question, so if we don't take the vaccines, what should we take? What do you mean, what should we take? Take what for what? What makes you think you need to take something against what you don't even know is out there? And many of the diseases that you were told to get vaccinated against did not even exist until the vaccines were given to you.
According to a quote by W.B. Clark, published by the New York Press on January 26, 1909, cancer was practically unknown until cowpox vaccination began to be introduced. I have seen 200 cases of cancer, and I never saw a case of cancer in an unvaccinated person.
There is no study to prove that unvaccinated children have ever been proven to start an epidemic. I have been seeing families in my practice for over 20 years that have opted out of vaccination. They are the healthiest children I have ever seen.
And explain why you feel this way and why you decided not to vaccinate your youngest children.
So I have three children. My oldest, was kind of the sacrificial lamb. He was vaccinated and had a huge amount of thimerosal, a huge amount of mercury. And after he had the MMR and the chickenpox vaccination on the same day, we never saw him again for 3 years.
Never saw him again, meaning
he developed autism. He lost language, he lost social skills, he lost bowel control, he became very sick within hours of vaccination. So I held his hand over the proverbial fire. He got burned. Don't ask me to line up my other 2 children to get burned again. What kind of parent would I be?
Like if I was a doctor, I wouldn't want you to get sick.
Yeah.
Because the more times you get sick, the more money I make.
That's right.
I don't get sick. I'm just being honest. I don't get sick.
Okay.
My children have never been sick.
Okay. They've never been vaccinated.
They've never been vaccinated, none of that, and they don't get sick.
Okay.
Because the mother's milk in the breast is all the vaccination that they need. That's it. That's it.
So, don't be deceived anymore. If you were deceived before, don't be deceived anymore.
Another item on the eugenicists' agenda for sickening children and keeping them dependent on the pharmaceutical industry is the willful production and sales of harmful so-called baby care products. These products infect these young ones with diseases, make them sick and keep them coming back for medical treatment.
It's interesting because it was 6 years ago when I was pregnant with my first child that I discovered that the most commonly used preservative in baby care products mimics estrogen when it gets into the human body. Now, it's very easy actually to get chemical compound from products into the human body through the skin, and these preservatives had been found in breast cancer tumors. And many of these chemicals are now linked to the skyrocketing incidence of chronic childhood disease that we're seeing across industrialized nations. I'll show you some statistics. So for example, in the United Kingdom, the incidence of childhood leukemia has risen by 20% just in a generation, very similar statistic for childhood cancer in the US. In Canada, we're now looking at 1 in 10 Canadian children with asthma. That's a 4-fold increase. Again, similar story around the world. In the United States, probably the most astonishing statistic is 600% increase in autism and autistic spectrum disorders and other learning disabilities. Again, we're seeing that trend across Europe, across North America. And in Europe, there's certain parts of Europe where we're seeing a 4-fold increase in certain genital birth defects. Interestingly, one of those birth defects has seen a 200% increase in the US. So a real skyrocketing of chronic childhood disease that includes other things like obesity and juvenile diabetes, premature puberty.
Speaking of baby care products increasing the risk of chronic childhood illnesses, have you checked carefully to see the ingredients used in producing your baby powder and lotion? Did you also know that these ingredients are profoundly toxic?
For decades, Johnson & Johnson has been selling baby powder. Your grandparents probably used it on your parents. Your parents probably used it on you. You likely used it on your babies. Well, that's too bad because guess what? Spoiler alert. Turns out that baby powder by Johnson & Johnson causes cancer due to the talc contained in it. Well, now J&J is facing one of the biggest consumer lawsuits in history. They have set aside a staggering $9 billion, with a B, dollars to try and settle this case. If the settlement fails, they could be on the hook for a whole lot more. We hope that they are, actually.
My problem is, they knew from 1971 to the early 2000s
they knew that their baby powder had asbestos in it. Internal documents, court testimonies all showed this. And their executives knew, their doctors knew, their lawyers knew, their managers knew, and they did nothing. They continued to sell it, knowing that it was causing significant problems and it was going to have significant long-term health effects to children, to babies. And you know what? Their slogan, which I guess says it all, they say they're a company that helps you your entire life. Really what they are is they're a company that makes you sick from the day you're born, and they'll profit off you your entire life. The problem is the whole system's broken. So you look at the early 2000s, your healthcare costs in the US were $2 trillion. You look at today, 12% increase in population, your healthcare costs have doubled. Everybody's getting sicker and they're becoming more and more expensive. And we need to change what we're doing. We need to pivot.
Look, we looked into this. We've been hearing that talc can cause cancer. Now, all of a sudden, we're finding out that there was asbestos in the product. I mean, think about this. We're powdering our babies' genitals with asbestos with one of the top pharmaceutical companies in the world. And, you know, sure, we can look at the money-grubbing corporation that didn't care about the people, and we can argue about that. We can talk about the doctors that recommended using this product on our babies as the best way to take away the dryness, you know, when you're changing their diaper. But what we keep, you know, we sort of keep missing is the CDC and the FDA and the regulatory agencies.
I want to ask some questions of you, and a simple yes or no is fine. The FDA's authority over the safety of baby lotion. First, can the FDA require a review of baby lotion for safety before it comes to market?
No.
Can the FDA require the manufacturer not to use a toxic ingredient, for example, formaldehyde, in its baby lotion?
No.
Is the manufacturer required to register with the FDA before selling its baby lotion?
No.
So I think my first statement is becoming truer. Once the baby lotion comes to market, can the FDA require safety information about the baby lotion?
No.
If the baby lotion has caused bad reactions in the babies, can the FDA require a recall?
No.
If the manufacturer is aware of the baby's bad reactions, would the manufacturer be required to report that to the FDA?
No.
Well, I think everybody's paying rapt attention here.
What about the toothpaste that you use every day? Oh yeah. The inclusion, the smart, devilish inclusion of fluoride.
What's going on? And then I see children's toothpaste that they're targeting 2-year-olds with that's got Spider-Man on it, or Superman, or Batman. I mean, it's got, or Papa Smurf, you name it. And it's sodium fluoride for kids. It says on the back, if you swallow even a pea size of this, called poison control. Everybody knows kids eat toothpaste. I've got organic for mine, and my kids, you know, especially the little ones, are always trying to eat it. But then you go to the baby store. I have 3 children, 3 small children. You go to the baby store, and it's 5, 6, 7 brands. All the brands of water, bottled water, say fluoride for babies. Fluoride, nursery water, what they need. And I'm going, well, wait, they've said for 6 years, they admit it's hurting their brains, it's hurting their teeth, it's causing dental fluorosis before the teeth have emerged.
Well, there's a study from 20 years ago showing infant mortality was higher in fluoridated communities. Is that why? I don't know. Why didn't they do a follow-up study? I think that would be interesting to know.
Children have died, you know. There's been a case of a child who swallowed this. The dentist left the room. The parents didn't know. The kid swallowed it, had to be rushed to hospital. They couldn't save him. He died. So, yeah, it's very toxic substance. There's no question about that.
Is that the kind of stuff that a responsible parent would be putting in their child's hand?
While parents seek to teach young children to brush their teeth at an early age, the responsibility lies with parents, guardians, and caregivers to carefully read the labels on these child care products before purchase, as this simple act of diligence could protect a child's health to no small measure.
FDA in 1997 required manufacturers of toothpaste to put this warning label on it. It's the same as you'd have on a loaded .38 caliber pistol. Keep out of reach of children, and only use a little pea-sized amount, which is about the same amount that would be in a bottle of water. And if that amount is swallowed, call the Poison Control Center or seek professional help immediately. So if I drank a bottle of water, should I call the Poison Control Center too? This is just insane. So this is what two different organizations say. One says, don't swallow it. Why did they put that on there? They put that on there because there were 10,000 calls a year to the Poison Control Centers from children made ill by swallowed toothpaste. 10,000 calls, and you know for every call there's 5 that didn't call. And there are only Poison Control Centers in half the states. So that means 100,000 children are made ill by swallowed toothpaste. It's insane to put a deadly poison in a child's hand and say, go brush and be sure and spit out, Johnny.
Why would our regulators say nothing about it? Because they're bribed? So they just keep quiet. So much so that if your toothpaste does not include fluoride, you think it's bad. But fluoride is not good for the body. But did they tell you? No.
This is going to make you mad. On March 15, 2023, the U.S. government finally released a report it had suppressed since May of 22 on the effects of fluoride on our kids. It took a lawsuit to get the results of this 6-month review of dozens and dozens of studies, which was funded by the taxpayers. Here's the conclusion I pulled right off page 467 of the report. The consistency of the data supports an inverse association between fluoride exposure and children's IQ. That means as fluoride goes up from drinking water, toothpaste, dental cleanings, whatever, IQ goes down in the developing brains of our kids. Now, who would want to block access to that information from the public? Oh, probably dentists. There are arguments both ways on fluoride and tooth decay, but nobody expected neurological damage. And withholding information is never, ever the answer to anything. Shame on those who would even consider it. I think it's finally time to stop putting fluoride in our drinking water. Dentists be damned. People can choose to supplement it with tablets if they want, but they can't really choose not to drink the city water, right? Something like 98% of the Western world doesn't drink fluoridated water, and there's no outcry that their kids' teeth are rotting out of their mouths. You can filter fluoride out of your drinking water with a reverse osmosis system, a distillation system, or an ion exchange type of filtration. Let's help our kids keep their smarts.
I thought water was supposed to be safe for all of us. Even the ADA agrees. They warn their members, not you, not the water districts. Of course they recommend fluoridation, but they tell members to tell their parents of children to make up tap water formula with fluoride-free water. Make up the formula with fluoride-free water so the baby won't get fluorosis. Interesting they use the term fluorosis. It's not dental fluorosis. Fluorosis is the body, joints, ligaments, tendons, brain, what Dr. Theitzen was talking about, the endocrine system. When you overdose infants with fluoride, you cause adverse responses systemically. And even the advocates for fluoridation agree that if it works topically, not systemically. But systemically is dental fluorosis. And when you can see spots on children's teeth, you've got to be a dentist to believe you've poisoned that child enough to cause spots on their teeth, and that's the only organ that was impacted. The level of dental fluorosis in the community is proportional to the level of fluoride in the water supply. That's because people drink the water. And the exposure to fluoride is what causes dental fluorosis.
The fact is their poisoning is so accelerated that they know that we're becoming aware of it, and so they know that it's coming to a critical flashpoint with the public, so they're backing off and going, okay, yeah, those studies are out there. Okay, scientists in the government, stop complaining. We'll cut the amount, knowing that they're not really targeting you so much in the water now as they are in the food, in the toothpaste, in the crops that are having it sprayed on it. Between 150 and 300 plus chemicals are in the so-called sodium fluoride. That's the other big secret. Sodium fluoride's bad enough. Lead, mercury, arsenic, radiation, particles, radium, different isotopes of uranium, because they mine, most of the sodium fluoride comes from the byproducts of phosphate mining, where they mine the phosphate for fertilizer, but they can't use the toxic waste. They just certify it from China and ship it over here, or they certify it from Florida and ship it, into your city, and then you drink it. You can't make something up this bad.
So parents need to know that the war is on. The war is on. That's the reason we can't just fold our hands. No. We have to pray God's word. We have to declare God's word. And we have to declare truths. We have to speak truth.
The truth is, children deserve to be healthy and strong, to live up to their full God-given potentials, but in light of these horrible acts against innocent children in our world, people must now consciously adapt a whole new paradigm about the so-called healthcare solutions, being served by a corrupt healthcare system, which is backed by a pathologically eugenistic-driven pharmaceutical industry, and renew their minds in line with God's thoughts for their health and that of their children.
Now you have to think differently. You have to think new. Think differently, especially as a Christian. Especially as a Christian. Because the Word of God gives you a different kind of life. A life that is not subject to disease. See, you have to understand that.
And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, and acceptable, and perfect will of God. Romans 12 verse 2.
Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow for another enlightening documentary. Take these 5 important steps to participate effectively. Register. It's absolutely free to join. Register using the link displayed, https://bit.ly/wordfest 6-registration. Publicize and participate. Bring at least 5 others on board. Encourage them to register and join you in participating daily. Testify. Share your testimony. Click on the Share Your Testimony button and let the world know how Pastor Chris's teachings have impacted your life. Sponsor translations. Be a part of making 1,000 PCDL messages available in the top 200 languages of the world. Remember to take today's quiz after your study and share your scores on King's Chat using the hashtags #WordFest6, #PostYourScore, #Solutions, everywhere along with your zone or ministry center's hashtag. God bless you as you participate.